This is Xander Breach, and I'm going to get into part 9 of my weight loss journey. May I remind you, before I begin talking, that some of the content in this video may not be suitable for your children. That also includes a frightening moment that may scare your kids, so please be aware of that as you're watching. Also, names will not be mentioned in here due to the fact that I don't want to get sued. So on with the story. When we last left off in part 8, I mentioned a question to everyone. That question was, did I get away with doing something crazy when I was in high school? That answer to that question will be revealed in this part. But before we reveal that answer, there's a couple things I'd like to mention in the story. So, let me backtrack my memory here. Before everything went down and I did something crazy, I do recall one night at my adoptive dad and stepmom's house that I was living with at the time, something scary happened to both my adoptive nephew and myself. We were staying in the same room at the time, and I was looking out for my nephew. And when we did, I remember one particular night I kind of went against my prayer warrior ways and leaned on my own understanding. Yeah, I know most people are thinking, Chad, what were you thinking? Or, in your case, Xander, but my real name is Chad. What were you thinking? And what I was thinking is I was trying to protect my nephew. Okay, so lay off the questions. So I remember I was sleeping in the same bed as my nephew just to make sure he had somewhere to sleep. Don't get any ideas either. And I remember him telling me he saw an angel, some sort of angel at the end of the bed. And when he did, I was thinking it was my mom from the way he described the angel. If it was my mom, I know she came to make sure we were okay. Because he did explain that the angel was wearing white. So here's a little lesson for you. If the spirit you're seeing is wearing all white, and the spirit is in a gown, a white gown, that is an angel. Anything else they're wearing, it is a demon. Keep that in mind. So he saw her, and for a while we felt, okay, we're protected, we're safe. Then all of a sudden, she leaves. And he gets attacked. He gets attacked by these demons, describing them like a black mass. And they're like really, really feeding off his fear. I guess they're trying to choke him. I got to protective mode real quick, and instead of rebuking them, which is something I should have done, I leaned on my own understanding, grabbed a handcrafted cane that was given to me, just in case we got any robbers or something, and I took the cane and I started hitting them on the back, like literally smacking them, literally continuously over and over and over again. I knew there was something on him, because if there wasn't, I would have been smacking his stomach. Instead, I was smacking air. And I was smacking air so much that I was smacking them on the back that I literally broke that handcrafted, beautiful piece of artwork, and it literally chipped, and to this day, you can still see that broken part of that handcrafted piece. You see it, a triangle, a small triangle on there, indicating only what my adoptive nephew and myself went through at the time. And I tell you, looking at that to this day is creepy. And guess what? Before I mention this, only me and my nephew knew about it. No one else knew about it. That has been mine and his secret for a while. But I'm using this story to kind of tell you the importance of rebuking demons. Never lean on your own understanding, because if you want them gone quickly, you have to pray. You have to give it to God. Don't lean on your own understanding, because if you do, it's going to take a long time before they go away. And that is the lesson I learned that night, and I believe my nephew learned the importance of not being so afraid, because they fed off his fear like a snack. So after that went down, we kept it secret for years. No one ever knew about it. If we mentioned it to anyone else, we would be looked upon as crazy people, lunatics, if you will. And that's why we kept it secret all those years. So, back to school. I remember one time it was homecoming of 2006. And me, I didn't have a date. I didn't really care about getting one. I was preferably wanting to go by myself. So, excuse my error for that 1 minute. I bought a ticket to the homecoming dance, and my excuse me for that error again. My stepmom helped me out where I could get the ticket, get my clothes that I was going to wear that night, and be ready for a really great night. She was also taking family photos at the time with my nieces and nephews. I wasn't involved in that, so I stayed home, got ready, cleaned myself up. By that same night, I went to the homecoming dance, and I tell you, it was nice to finally entertain without dealing with teachers, and, dancing during that time was a great time to do so, because it was a school dance. I remember having fun. A lot of different music was playing during that time, like Sum 41, maybe Sum 41, Bowling for Soup, Fall Out Boy, whole bunch of bands and artists were playing that the DJ played. And I remember a girl who's been having a crush on me for a while and was popular at the time came up to me and she said, "You want to dance?" And I'm like, "Sure." And we danced, and I kept in mind she had a boyfriend, so I didn't get touchy-feely, and besides that, she was a minor. So I kept my hands to myself and just slow danced with her for a while. And it was a pretty nice dance, and her boyfriend came in and broke through, and I let him dance together, But it was nice, and she's like, "Save a dance for me." Or I was like, "Would you..." Okay, let me correct myself. I asked her, I don't think she was the one who told me that. One of the seniors asked me to save a dance for them, and I'm like, "Sure, I'll do that." Yeah, I apologize. I had to stop for a moment to get my facts correct. So, I'd say homecoming dance was fun, and that went accordingly. Now we're getting into early 2006. I may remind you, Christmas was awesome in 2005. I got a gold necklace that apparently I lost, and my brother came to visit. That turned out to be an alright time, you know. So yeah, Christmas was awesome of 2005. So early 2006, before I did what I did that's crazy, I ended up meeting a girl. She is a minor, and I ended up going to audition for the school play. When I auditioned for the school play, that's where this girl got to know who I was. May I remind you, I had to sing a song, so I sang a song, and during this time, I was very nasally. But the girl who heard me sing, she didn't see nasal, she saw a cute guy that had talent. And I later met her at the lunchroom, and she was terribly attracted to me. Me, on the other hand, I was just getting to know her. She is an example of a girl who was depicted as an example in the movie Mean Girls. If I remember correctly, Mean Girls the girls had rules of sitting at the table, if you remember the movie correctly. She and her friends had those same rules. So I was looking at her like, another Rachel McAdams, another Lindsay Lohan in real life. And I mentioned the movie to her. She's like, "Are you calling me a mean girl?" I'm like, "No. I'm just like, you're reminding me of that movie." So I got to know her a little bit. I don't remember her name, but I do recall I sang to her one time, and the song sounded very sexual to her, that she started grabbing my leg, literally grabbing my leg. I had to get up because I was surprised. I'm like, wow, I must have really grabbed her attention. Then towards the end of lunch period, and she came out and she's like, "I love you." And I like, "Who said that?" And I didn't know it was her, and she's like, "Never mind." I'm like, wow. It got to the point where you're telling me you love me? Okay, now I was in a bit of shock. I was in a bit of surprise. Thank God nothing went further than that, because I would have gotten in trouble, and I had to kind of keep my cool around these girls, even though I was extremely popular. I wore a zip-up muscle shirt, and a lot of girls flirted with me because it made me look muscular, not skinny. One girl actually had the nerve to look at her friend and look at me, and she would say how cute I was. And during that time, I was shaving my chest, so there wasn't any hair showing, because, I wanted to look good. I wanted to look cool, as most people would claim. But I was acting more of a kid than a grown-up. So, now that you got the idea of what happened, and oh yeah, I didn't make the school play, I got angry, and I hit one of the lockers. The dean called up my adopted dad's stepmom, and I didn't hear the end of it. I got in trouble for that. I guess for supposedly damaging the property, but I found out in a dream I wasn't going to make it, and I thought it was from the devil. So I didn't believe it at first, and then it turns out it was from God, letting me know ahead of time, like, hey, you're not going to make it. Don't worry about it. So when I discovered that the dream represented the truth, it kind of scared me a little bit. So now that we got those things out of the way, it's time to get into what I did that was crazy. One particular day I'm at home, I decided to think about what I'm going to do to get away with something at the school. I thought about it, because I've been getting in trouble and I got tired of it. One day, reaching behind my dresser, I ended up feeling something. I literally take it out from behind the dresser and I look at it and I see this very dirty picture. Can't really describe it because it's not appropriate for my viewers. But I saw this very dirty picture, and yes, if you're wondering what it is, it was pornographic. So I went ahead and I thought, how about I show this to all the kids at the school and see if I can get away with this? So I brought it to school with me the next day, hid it in my wallet. First people I showed it was pretty easy, nothing to it because it was away from the actual school building. And one time it was in front of the school building but not in front of the cameras. So it being outside, I knew I was in the safe zone. But I had to think bigger. I had to think, okay, now that I got my idea on how I'm going to get away with it, the trick is hide it from the cameras. You see, the school is surveillanced by a lot of cameras. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure out a way to get it to where the cameras don't see what happened. If I can do that, I'm doing pretty good for myself. So, right around lunchtime, I go ahead and I literally do the honors of taking the picture and thinking to myself, how about I show it to everyone? The girl who had a crush on me, she's like, what's the one thing you've done that's crazy? I whisper in her ear and I'm like, I brought a pornographic picture over. She's like, really? Show it. I'm like, what? She's like, show it. And then the word went out, and one of the seniors who was a little crazy, but not too crazy, but he was cool. He's like, really? Show that to everybody, he yells in excitement. I'm like, shh, shh, shh. And I'm like, okay, I'll show it to y'all. Y'all gotta hide it underneath the table. I take the picture. Everyone's passing around, hiding it under the table. I'm looking around, making sure faculty isn't around the area. And I think about half of the cafeteria saw that picture. The whole entire senior class looked at that picture. Quickly but surely, before lunchtime was over, they returned the picture to me. I put it back in my wallet, and I'm like, okay, everything's smooth. Okay, we got everything in the clear. So, as I'm leaving the lunchroom, because the bell rang, the dean comes up and says, hey, you, come here. Feeling a little suspicious I was going to get in trouble and I didn't want to get caught, I started running. Oh, was I running. I was running for a long time, and I tell you, all these kids grouped around me, and we were running, and they were